Conspiracies, a wealth of tactical freedom, and a healthy dose of funny accents are all staples of the Deus Ex series, all of which return in full force with the release of Deus Ex Mankind Divided. Like 2011's Human Revolution, Mankind Divided is a prequel to the original PC masterpiece and developed by Eidos Montreal. Mankind Divided is set 2 years after the ending of Human Revolution, with augmented individuals becoming outcasts of society, forced to live in ghettos and endure merciless persecution after the horrifying AUG incident. Amidst the social conflict is returning gruff-voiced hero and champion vent explorer Adam Jensen, now a member of Interpol and part of a newly formed Task Force 29. As Jensen, players will embark on a cyberpunk adventure to stop the latest in terrorist plots and expose the true architects behind the AUG incident, the ever-mysterious and enigmatic Illuminati. The story of Mankind Divided primarily takes place in Prague, the latest and possibly greatest hub city of the series, with Jensen making the occasional trip to other locations across the globe to fulfill various missions. The overall story has a huge focus on the natural versus AUG conflict, with Jensen often being thrust into the middle and forced to make tough decisions and compromises in order to reach the truth. The story begins with a lot of promise and intrigue, allowing players to shape the conclusion by making key decisions which can drastically change missions and objectives. I loved how often there are conflicts between Jensen's personal agenda and story missions, which made for some interesting dilemmas in making these key decisions. However, the game does a poor job of introducing and developing its new cast of characters. I felt that I learned more about these characters from the loading screens rather than actually interacting with them. So while I was initially engaged with the story, by the end I felt hard-pressed to care about any of its characters. It also doesn't help that Mankind Divided ends very abruptly, lacking any sense of finality and ultimately sets up future sequels and follow-ups, which I felt was very unsatisfying. I was actually in shock when I unlocked New Game Plus during the final cutscene, as I had been expecting at least one more mission to wrap up the game. Ultimately, it's a shame that Mankind Divided will not likely be remembered for its storytelling, as it has some great throwbacks to the original Deus Ex, as well as some very interesting side quests which often outshine the story missions. Despite the story being underwhelming, the gameplay makes for a much more satisfying experience. While the formula of player freedom remains intact from Human Revolution, Mankind Divided is a worthy sequel, living up to the franchise's legendary legacy thanks to some great quality of life improvements, expanded gameplay options, and fantastic level design. Player choice is the key foundation of the Deus Ex series, and Mankind Divided offers players countless moments and opportunities to reach and fulfill objectives through any means they may see fit. Do you spend your precious praxis points to cloak and sneak past enemies? Maybe you investigate your environment to find a better, more efficient way through, or perhaps you eliminate all opposition with the help of new augmentations. The choice is yours, and making that choice is always fulfilling and rewarding. The level design affords these divergent gameplay opportunities, offering large, expansive environments with multiple paths leading to your objectives. There's also plenty of valuable weapons, resources, and upgrades awaiting those who carefully explore each and every environment. All of this is exemplified spectacularly in Prague, a dense and expansive hub world filled with compelling side quests, hidden paths, and vendors for players to discover. Sadly, Prague is essentially the only city for players to explore, with the exception of the brief but memorable trip to the downtrodden Golem City. This may disappoint longtime series fans expecting another globe-spanning journey like previous games. Despite that, I enjoyed my time in Prague far more than the series' other hub cities. Additionally, players may find themselves using some of the new abilities to explore the city. Jensen has access to more augmentations than his first game, many of which can be used to find secret areas or optional pathways. However, I often found myself sticking with the returning upgrades from Human Revolution, allocating most of my praxis points into the hacking, vision, and cloaking upgrade trees. With that said, new AUGs such as remote hacking and the Telsa shot quickly became staples of my move pool. I also enjoyed seeing revisions to the energy system, which was far more generous with augmentation usage. Overall, the core gameplay is still very similar to Human Revolution, but improved in all of the right areas, such as weapon balance, a revised cover system, and the enemy's line of sight detection-based AI behavior, all of which made playing Mankind Divided more enjoyable than the previous games. Depending on your preference, some may be disappointed that Human Revolution's somewhat controversial yellow/gold filter has been completely removed, replaced with a more regular or realistic representation of 2029. Character and environmental models have seen a vast improvement from Human Revolution, along with some great clothing and mechanical designs, although you will still see hair clipped through clothing, and character animations for cutscenes appear stiff and at times awkward. While overall the game looks good, the graphics really stand out during night, where neon signs, smoke, and streetlights make for a much stronger visual style that suits the cyberpunk setting perfectly. The music also fits the setting quite well, and some tracks amplify the action on screen. In particular, the enemy alert and searching themes are among my favorites, and often I would allow myself to be seen in order to hear them more often. Mankind Divided features an overall strong cast of voice talent, although some of the strong accents often come in as more comedic, which is not necessarily always the intention. But then again, that fits with the voice acting of previous Deus Ex games. For this review, I played the PC version of Mankind Divided, which offers an extensive amount of configuration options for the controls and graphical performance of the game. Playing on specs higher than the recommended settings, I encountered a few notable frame drops when wandering around Prague and other large areas filled with NPCs, as well as some lengthy loading screens upon loading saves and using the subway to travel, with some taking upwards of a minute, as well as one loading screen resulting in a crash. However, since the first few patches, I have noticed improved performance. In the future, a DirectX 12 patch is expecting to launch around the beginning of September, which will hopefully improve the game performance even further. Outside of the main story, Mankind Divided offers two other modes of play, Breach and Jensen Stories. Breach puts players in the role of hackers called Rippers, attempting to access data through the use of a digital avatar and forcefully extracting it from towers found within small environments. Breach offers a few new exclusive augmentations, which are slowly unlocked through gradually completing less than 5-minute missions, often with the objectives focusing on achieving high scores and completing levels as quickly as possible in order to earn new upgrades. Breach works fine as a fun distraction, but I found myself tired of it only after an hour or so of play, and would rather just play the main game again. On the other hand, Jensen Stories offer individual structured missions featuring Adam Jensen. At the time of this review, only one of these stories is currently available, which has Jensen investigate the possible identity of a terrorist bomber. This story is functionally a side quest, but it does not carry over any of your progress in the main game, which I felt offered a new chance to experiment with my playstyle and use different augmentations that I didn't use within the story mode. The mission took me about an hour and a half to finish, and it was a well-designed level that I thoroughly enjoyed playing. As of now, I'm curious to see the future potential of these other Jensen stories, which are going to be released as a part of the season's pass. Overall, I immensely enjoyed my 24-hour playthrough of Deus Ex Mankind Divided, which included completing every side quest I came across, exploring each location fully, looting everything possible, and playing on the Give Me Deus Ex difficulty, which I would encourage most to play on. While many of the themes of the story kind of fall on their face and the adventure ends too abruptly, I would still recommend Mankind Divided without reservation to fans of the series and stealth action games in general. That's all for now. For the latest news, reviews, playthroughs, and other RPG related videos, be sure to subscribe by clicking the button below. Thanks for watching.